What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and today we have a fantastic guest for you guys. Been working with Paige for a little bit here on MDT stocks and all the accessories that you can think of for a rifle. And we're going to get into MDT, the company, why they're the best in the game, honestly. And they look great, they function well. And you guys know out there listening, when I find something that works really good and looks good, that's a win, period. I mean, that's just how it is. So with that being said, we got Paige. Is it Coster or Coaster?
Coaster, the first one.
Okay, perfect. So we got, I should ask that ahead of time. So we got Paige
No
Coster
problem.
here from MDT, and she's over there, heads up some things in the marketing department. She also loves to go and shoot, so she knows what she's talking about. She's out there competing in matches internationally, all around the world. She's been to some places that my wife is jealous of. And I told her, I was like, hey, there's matches over there, so we might have to go. You know, with that, Paige, for people that don't know who you are, who are you?
Sure. So my name is Paige. I am currently working in the marketing department at MDT. For people who don't know who MDT is, we make bolt action precision chassis, both for the competition space and the hunting space. So we have quite a few different options for everybody out there. Yeah, and I also do compete in PRS, which is Precision Rifle Series. So there are many matches throughout the States. And I, like you said, also internationally, I got a chance to go over earlier this year to compete both in Wales and Ireland. That sport is growing really big there. I also competed last year in September in the IPRF Centerfire Worlds. So that was actually held at Cameo in Grand Junction, Colorado. Beautiful venue. Like, it is like the mecca of shooting. Like, being able to shoot there, you learn so much, and it's a beautiful background to be able to shoot there. So I competed with Team Canada there last year, and hoping again next year to compete, which will be in Texas. So we'll be at Gravestone, where the match will be held, which is about 45 minutes from Fort Worth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And guys, you know, this stuff, we're going to go into, you know, PRS, NRL, what the differences are. If you're interested in getting into stuff like that, there's rimfire options as well. There's a lot of different matches that are available. A lot of you guys out there listening know I'm not leaving archery, for those that may be thinking about it. And this could become a problem because I like both so much. But honestly, you know, there's a lot out there that you want to do to test your skills. And even though I personally feel, and Paige will probably correct me on this, but you can get a rifle dialed in and go put it in your safe and pull it out 6 months later, and it's still dialed. But it's not always the equipment that's the problem, right? It's it's you, and there's a lot of things that you need to build up, just like with archery. And again, I'm bringing it back to archery because I know a lot of people out there listening follow me for archery stuff as well. But there's the follow through on the trigger pull. There's making sure your cheek rest is in the same position every time, just like with your peep housing on a bow. If your peep is slightly off, you're going to be missing out at, you know, you're shooting at 800, 900,000 yards. You're going to have some issues there. And so you want to make sure that you are dialed in, right? Not just your weapon. And so, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there.
No, 100%. Because it is, what do they call that? Again, where it's a skill that can be lost over time. You have your muscle memory, but definitely time behind the trigger will show up. It's definitely at the beginning of the year when I hibernate for the winter, because I'm not a huge cold weather shooter. Into it definitely gets rusty. So you lose, you know, your trigger pull. You start to see you flinching. So, you know, when you're slapping the trigger, which is a huge thing you need to learn to get away from, because that starts affecting your shot as you get out to the distances we're shooting, because we're shooting up to 800, 1,000 yards over the weekend. I always go out to 1,200 yards. So any of that will be seen downrange as the farther and farther you go out. Also mentally, because you'll make a whole bunch of mental mistakes, because on a stage, you want to keep, okay, what's the wind doing? What's my wind calls? What's my sequence? So making sure that throughout the winter, a really good thing to do is dry firing. So you're getting down on your rifle. So it's like that muscle memory, right? So it's like second nature as you go down. You're not fighting with it when you're on a stage, when the time counts. So being able to make sure you're consistently at least doing something throughout the time, just not kind of jumping into it and then going and expecting like great results. It's like anything, you need to make sure you put the time in. The time in is definitely going to be shown.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I can't agree with you more on that. It's with anything like this, your body essentially, and Joel Turner, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he does Shot IQ. He talks a lot of whether it be sports, archery, rifle, whatever. He's definitely explained, and this makes sense, that your body is anticipating the explosion, whether it's with a bow or a rifle, whether no matter how small or big, whether you're shooting a 22 17 HMR or a 300 Win Mag, your body is expecting that kickback, the explosion, and it's anticipating that. And so the whole idea, like you're saying, of getting that dry fire practice in, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've let my kids, as I'm trying to teach them, I see them chamber an empty, like it's an empty chamber, but they're so into it that they're racking it, and they push the action forward. There's nothing in it. I know what's coming, and I'm kind of testing them to see if they're following through with it, whether it's got a bullet in it or not.
For
And
sure.
and so it's fun to be able to point those things out as well, to them. I mean, there's follow through on a trigger. A lot of people, they'll just go pow, and then their finger instinctively comes back instead of holding it to the rear, trying to get back on target. Just all the things that go into it. There's so much that I bring that up because with knowing that your rifle's dialed, that's cool. You want to make sure that you're getting the reps in. And so that's why matches, whether you go to a PRS, NRL, and again, we'll get into the difference there, because I need to learn this,
Yeah.
because I'm interested in doing it as well. But
Yeah.
taking it out and shooting at the range, or if you're out here like in Utah where you can take out steel targets, I love one of my favorites is just soda cans, getting 12 packs, and shaking them up and then putting them out as targets,
Yeah.
so you can have your kids have something to explode and have fun with. But it's good to test those skills. Every bullet or every cartridge counts. Every bullet that goes down range matters. You're not just flinging, ammo out there. That's why I don't have any automatic weapons because of that. Cause I'm like, the cost on that. And then plus there's no purpose. It's
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
but there's no point behind it,
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, for
with
sure. Yeah. So it was really important, like how you mentioned there, going out and not only getting the time in, but remembering at the end of the day, having fun. Because if you get in your head too much, constantly like pushing yourself and pushing yourself and pushing yourself, you're really going to then start, it's like a decline from there then, because you're pushing yourself not in the right mindset, because essentially this is like an 80% mind game when you're shooting PRS. Like 10% is it like, physical, and then I think 80% is definitely mind, where you have to make sure you know how to train your mind to, and make sure you got to shake off, because don't worry about your last stage, because you're shooting 20 stages in a whole 2-day match, and that's a lot, and you're worrying about every single stage that you're at. Like the last one, maybe you bombed, and the next one's just going to happen. It's going to go over and over and over again. So remembering, like bringing that fun back into it again, it's not going to seem like a chore, and you're going to do putting that fun and that practice together, I find will have more of an effect than just going out there and just pushing yourself and pushing yourself. It's good to push yourself, but you got to know that balance between pushing yourself and having fun at the same time.
and guys out there, and I know mostly guys listen to this, but if you're getting your kids or your wife or your girlfriend into shooting, don't sit them behind your biggest caliber rifle. Don't do that with a
Just scare
nasty
them right
break off.
away.
With a nasty break off the front where they scope themselves, and like just
Yeah.
don't do that. Get a 22, go have fun. Like I said, go shake up some soda cans and put them out there for targets. Clay pigeons, those are all cheap targets that you can get that are fun. They're interactive because you can see them break, you can hear them explode, whatever. That kind of stuff is fun, and intermingle teaching them proper fundamentals while you're at it, right? And just make it fun, like what Paige was saying. Keep it fun, but also make sure they're not creating bad habits, and you're not creating bad habits while you're doing it, right? So that's those are all great information. So with that, let's talk, I guess, first MDT. You mentioned what exactly MDT does. And I will say, you know, and I'll just show here my rifle, the one that I just killed my antelope with. It's
Nice.
folded up right now, and
Yep.
it's gorgeous, even with all the dust on it.
It's
It
not
is.
supposed to be.
I know it. I mean, it just blends in. But this thing is phenomenal. The stock itself, guys, only weighs 26 ounces. So it's compact, it's lightweight, but also I mean, that's a 6.5 PRC, so it's not the lightest caliber out there, not the heaviest either. But it handled recoil really well. I mean, it just fits in really well. It's got little pucks that you can adjust the length of pull, based on if you're a bigger human than I am, or if you're a small child.
Yeah.
All those things, right? The cheek rest goes up and down, so if you need to adjust that, so it's super adjustable, very lightweight, and very durable. Does a really good job there. And it accepts with AICS magazines,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. So it's so with we have a couple different inlets in there. So we have short action. So that would be the short action AICS pattern mags. And we also go into CIP length too. So I know the 300 PRCs like that longer length magazine. So we made that inlet for Remington to make sure that, you know, when you do have that, you have that extra little cartridge overall length in there for that one. And then with Tika, because their short and long action are technically the same receiver length, we designed a magazine to work in the long action, which is a 3.560 length mag. So if you are shooting those long action calibers, you can still use that. And then the short action is just it has a different mag length, but you still use the AICS short action mags. So
Yeah,
there's
awesome.
a couple different options. So we made sure there's options for everybody there in those ones. And we've gotten it took us like, I think 2 years to try to get that actually in stock, because people kept on wanting it and wanting it and wanting it and wanting it, because it's so light, and having that integrated Arca rail where you don't have to add the extra weight. So you can easily slip that onto a bipod or a tripod and not carrying the extra weight of like a aluminum rail or on the bottom
And it's
there.
full
So
length too. I mean, just look how slim that is. You've got the little quick adapter here if you want to put a sling in there. I need to take that little sling stud out, honestly, because I'd rather have the bipod even further up. But I mean, and it's got M-LOK built in and ARCA. So essentially everything and anything that you would need to attach to this I mean, it's right there and ready for it from the
yeah.
get-go. So you don't have to buy anything on top of it. I mean, it just comes with it. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little concerned when I got the scope mounted about this right here, but
Yeah.
you don't notice it. I mean,
No.
and it's not, so my scope's able to be lowered to the bore, which is where you want it, as close to the center of the action, unless I'm wrong. Correct me again. I'm not an expert,
So,
guys.
but funny enough about that, so we actually did a video about like bore height, because I know that's a traditional thing to be as close as the bore as possible. But with kestrels now and ballistic calculators, we did the testing. It can account for that. The most important part is you want to be comfortable behind the rifle and get the correct eye relief. So you can still run the higher rings, punch that into your ballistic calculator, and it will account for that, because it actually gives you a section where it says bore height. So that is where you measure that distance in there. So from the midline of your scope down to where your action is, and you account and you put that into your ballistic, and it can actually, so it's more of going to what is comfortable, because the more comfortable you are and you get that correct sight picture, the less tense you're going to be, because the more tense you are, the chance you're not going to get an accurate shot. That was where so we did a video on it to kind of be like, hey, that's where we put that super high, like 21-inch high, like scope base or scope rings. So to kind of be like, hey, let's prove this theory. Can you actually account for it in a ballistic calculator, which is a Kestrel, or there's even free apps out there. So Hornady has a free app, the 4DOF app. You can even put that information in there and get your environmentals from somebody who has one, and boom, done. And then you have so if you find that, like, I'm trying to get so low, but I'm having a hard time, don't worry about it. Like, you can still go with those higher rings as long as you're comfortable, because that will allow you to take that shot, hunting or PRS shooting, competition shooting, both sides. So it's something that is definitely an interesting concept
Yeah.
that we went over.
I just learned something new. That's cool.
Right?
But with this, I mean, there's, you know, a little bit of the scope that's covered up by this right here, that cutout, but I don't notice it downrange. That's not a problem, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's not a problem at all. Yeah, because you'll notice that it's not the bottom part there's not going to
Yeah.
pick up that.
And I
And
love
of
that
course, there's a,
cutout too, because I
yeah,
mean, if you want stuff, which I personally don't know what you would mount here, but if you want to mount something here, there's M-LOK on top, but they've got that cutout. So again, if you want it lower, if you are more comfortable with it being lower, that scope still, I mean, it's not even close to touching the barrel, but again, that cutout definitely helps. So, you know, losing weight and also allowing for, this is a 52mm objective lens. So allowing for that little bit bigger scope lens to be out front, that's pretty
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed too, we supplied with little plastic dowels that go into the mag well before you put the action in. So what we did that was try because with the magazines, there's a little, the length, the front to back length is what we account for in AICS when we're doing the measurements, but the side to side varies. So we wanted to put those dowels in there because there might be a little bit of a side to side movement, of course, if you have a metal mag, metal against metal rattling. So we made sure to add those little dowels in there so to kind of reduce and cut down on that side to side rattle of the magazines. So
Okay. Yep. Sweet. No, that's awesome. That's something I didn't notice.
right, yeah. There's so many things about this
I
sometimes when
know.
you
I
get it,
know.
especially going into this. Like, I'm still learning. I've been 4.5 years at MDT now, and just having to learn all the funny things rifle manufacturers have done over the years, like them deciding to have a long action Savage and chamber it in a short action caliber, and then it has the screw pattern for long action, but the cutout is for short, which then, so it's you learn something new every
Mm-hmm.
day. And especially with our products, we have such an extensive line. We try our best to keep the customers, but we're always open to, if anybody wants to email in or message, like there's no dumb questions because there is a lot going on sometimes, even though it's super easy to install, like being able to utilize the whole thing. We try to make it as user friendly as possible. But sometimes everybody thinks differently, right? So that's why we're always open to be like, hey, drop us a line anytime. We're always going to, never a stupid question. We can explain like, hey, this is what this is for, and you can use this for this. And so, because sometimes I even miss stuff and I'm like, oh yeah.
That's awesome. I do want to ask as far as this stock goes. Let's see. So, well, first I do want to show, again, that full Arca rail. And then with this stock here, the something that I did notice, because a lot, and this again goes into taking a little bit more torque out of your shot and everything. When a lot of hunters fire, they wrap their thumb around like this on the backside. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but having this little ledge here is super nice to be able to just put your thumb right there. So, you throw it into fire, whatever, and then you put the thumb here. So you've got less torque this way on your rifle, like you would with a traditional rifle stock. So
Exactly.
I thought that was pretty awesome. And then, just going into some of the accessories, you guys make some really lightweight stuff and heavy duty stuff, which is cool. You don't do just one or the other. The extremes. Well, I don't know if this is an extreme. There's probably an even more heavy duty one out there, but this
Yeah.
thing right here, this triple pull is, I mean, I literally with that doe pronghorn, I sat at the edge of the field on a knee, and it was tall enough that I was able to just have, and I just, created that triangle. And with the bipod, I was super, super steady, even in that 20-mile-an-hour wind. And this thing is awesome. So
Yep.
it is a little bit heavier, obviously, because it's a triple pull. So guys, it goes,
Yep.
what's the length? Do you know off the top of
It
your
goes
head?
out to 36 inches. So it'll totally
Yeah, that
extend
thing's
out to 30.
huge.
Yeah.
Look at that. You can't even fit it in the
Yeah.
frame. Like,
Right. And then
it's,
it's
huge.
great, which I've seen in hunting more, because now instead of having to take a tripod with you, you can just take this. So you are actually cutting down a little bit on weight. We also do have bags that are MOLLE compatible. So you just put it on the side of your bag and you just pull it out. So if you don't want it on the gun, hitting stuff as you go. So I have found being able to just sit there with that, if you're just sitting and waiting, It's very solid. It's going to withstand the heavier calibers too, because we've rated it up to 300 PRC shooting off that, and it's not going to collapse the legs. So now it gives you an option. Instead of having to lug around a bigger tripod, you do have this triple pole now, which is slimmer in design than having to bring the tripod with you, and you still get the same capability. You can't stand, but I mean,
yeah.
when,
Well,
how
I mean,
often
maybe if
do
you're a kid, you can.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Depends
Yeah.
on how tall you are as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's still nice not to have to pack so much stuff because you already have enough stuff as is. Something that's a little
And
bit
then
more slim in profile.
this on the back too, you can either use here, this little space here, or this to kind of brace if you end up setting your rifle onto a fence post or something like that you want to use it for. So
Yeah,
that's
and
kind of
it's
on
nice.
that's definitely the heavier end of what I've got here. And then on the light end, this thing is like, it's sub 6 ounces, this little
Yep.
thing. And remind me what it's called, the mountain bipod?
Yeah, so we have two versions. We have the mountain bipod, which comes in a Arca and one Arca style or a Picatinny style, and then the backcountry is just the Picatinny without the leg splay, so it just goes into one position. We
I could use this as like
actually,
chopsticks.
right, yeah,
It's so lightweight.
but surprisingly,
Yeah.
it does like. It's pretty stable in there. We had John Pinch, one of our supported sponsored shooters, testing it out for us before we brought it out, and he actually said the feet were pretty stable, considering like it doesn't look like it, but they're pretty, the way when it angles and the force that's put onto it, it's not going to slip on you. So
Yeah.
it was a really cool purchase. We purchased from a guy from New Zealand. So he is a hunter that hunts in the mountains there, so it's obviously been tested through the rough terrain. So it's not like it's somebody that's just on flat terrain. This is definitely being bumped and used in rough stuff. So it was really cool purchase to be able to have an option now that's super light. So if you want something, still have a bipod and
lightweight
and still get the legs extended out, and it's still leg splay, so it has a couple different options there for you.
Do you remember how long? I mean, this is, I don't know, 18, 20
that
inches?
is similar to our, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I can't keep all the numbers in my head sometimes.
No, you're good. I actually know sometimes people surprise me with all the stuff they have in their mind.
Oh yeah, there's some people that like my coworkers, like they'll remember like part numbers, and I'm like, how do you do this? Like it is, I think it's about 16 inches it might go out to, I believe, on the mountain.
Sweet.
Yeah. Then for the mountain, we have the two options, and then the backcountry is just the Picatinny option. But going back to the triple pole, the nice thing about that head too is it will work both with Picatinny and Arca on one head. So you don't have to switch out heads. You can use it for one.
Sweet.
If you say you have a Picatinny rail on one and an Arca on another, you're not having to switch out. You can use the same bipod on each of them.
Oh, that's awesome. What was the purpose behind the grippy texture here?
Yeah, so originally the SkyPod was designed by Sky Thomas. So he is both a precision shooter and does some of the team rifleman matches. So it was more of like kind of like a grip. We wanted kind of like that grip tape on the. So it was designed originally to be a competition-based bipod, and then just kind of morphed into more and more people picking it up to use in the hunting space.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, again, it was super steady in that crazy wind, and shooting the 6.5 PRC, it took that like a champ. And then we've got this it's a little bit heavier, and I feel like most of the weight's here in the head. But this is the GRND.
Yeah, the ground pod. Yeah, so that one's our ground pod. So it's something that I still see in the competition space, especially in the rimfire world. So you still get, if you're not wanting to spend the big bucks, because the SkyPods, I'll have to admit, like it is worth every penny when people get it. That's why it's so popular. But if you want something that's still going to give you adjustability and still have the stable for your platform, then the ground pod's a great option to go with. So we just wanted something kind of like that mid-level for people who are just kind of starting to get into it, who want either plinking at the range, using it for competition, or even out hunting too, if they wanted something in that area, not going really Gucci. Because so if you're only hunting like once or twice a year, why are you going and spending hundreds of dollars on a bipod when you're like, right? Like if you're hunting constantly, for sure. Or say you have money just to throw away to stuff, go ahead. But we want something. We just don't want to be like, hey, we're this high-end brand. We only care about high-end people. It's like, no, we want to make stuff for every single level, and whichever level you're at, we have an option for you.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I agree, and that's why I grabbed those because it, that's definitely exactly how we've used it. I have not gotten this in the field yet, but we'll be putting that out in November sometime. We're going to take a couple of rifles out and mess around with
Nice.
some longer range steel targets. And steel targets are so much fun. Again,
They are.
I'm gonna harp on the suppressed every time I talk about rifles. Unfortunately, Paige can't do
In
that
Canada.
up in Canada.
Yeah.
Maybe we should move to the U.S. Just
I know, right?
Idaho's
Like, I
pretty
guess
great.
Yeah. It is. I've spent a lot of time in Idaho, and I really enjoyed it. So
I will say BC is, if someone is an outdoors person and wants to live in Canada, that's the place to go.
Yeah, that's
they
the
definitely
creme de creme, definitely for even hunting too.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people just love, like, I've recently found out that we even have bison up in northern BC. Like, I had no idea. And some of the moose up there are huge, along with like the elk, caribou, like everything you can think of you want to hunt. We have so many sheep too, and goats. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And I haven't taken advantage of this yet. I'm like, this is just in my backyard. Like, I need to get on this.
Exactly. So I bring that up though, because shooting steel targets is another fun, reusable. You can reuse the targets. It's not like paper or a soda can. If you've got the money to drop on steel targets, it's a lot of fun. And if you're shooting suppressed, you even get to hear that sound even better. And as you stretch things out, this is the cool thing, and it still is so cool to me, is to hear either the person say impact, or you see it in your scope and then you hear it. It's like,
that travel time, right?
Yeah,
and you're like, that's just crazy. Or even like spotting it, you're like, it's so funny. You see the impact before you hear it come back at you, which is like, I love it. Like, I love hitting steel. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, what's crazy, actually, just thinking about the sound too, not having to wear ear pro with the suppressor. When I shot, I could hear my bullet fighting the wind, because the wind I had a nasty crosswind, but I could hear as it went down range. I was like, what
like,
the heck? Like, I've never heard that before. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or seeing trace
then,
too, like being behind somebody and seeing this trace, especially when it starts to get, I shoot a lot in the summertime and it starts to get miragey. It's just so cool to see that arc of the bullet. And you're like, especially when you're getting farther and farther out, you're like, you're really mortaring that shot. And you're like, that's crazy. It's just like, woo, and you're like, you always forget. It's not just this flat little line. Like, you're going like this, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I've never ceased to be amazed every match I go. I learn something new, or I see something new, and you're like, you're never till the day I die, I'm gonna be learning stuff. Like, that's just, I've just come to that fact.
Well, it makes me wonder. It's funny. I don't know why, but on my feed, I've had a lot of like flat earther stuff popping up lately. I'm like, what? Like, I've not even talked about. So I laugh because I'm just like, okay, so I get what you're saying, I guess, but what about the Coriolis effect?
Yeah.
Like,
so people don't understand. Like, I was reading a little bit more into it because we did a video recently with Francis Clone, and we were reenacting the movie from Shooter with a 6BR, because that's what we had on time. I know everybody's like, why didn't you have
so you were there for that? I remember watching that video. Yeah,
I wasn't there for that, but I remember talking to Francis about it too, and like looking up at, like, because after 1,000 yards is when the Coriolis effect will take into effect. So they actually started noticing this when they did Cannonball Fire way back in the day. They started noticing, like, it's different from east to west and north to south. It goes different directions. So it's really cool to know, like, to see that. And there's another effect too. I can't remember the name of it. I was looking it up, but it's like, it's fun math. Like, I love looking up this fun math stuff. Like, I was horrible in school, but like, this stuff is like, makes sense. Like, being able to get your BC and knowing what your bolt drop is doing, especially going into reloading, that becomes more and more and more important. Making sure you're truing your rifle, because you don't have the data of what you have on the factory loads. So you have to go out and do that while you're reloading, finding the perfect load that works with your rifle, because it changes. Different rifles like different loads. So it's a whole batch of funness. Even though going down that rabbit hole, you gotta.
I haven't even gone down that yet. I just know
Yeah.
what works, and I'm just gonna leave it there for right now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, eventually I would love to. I keep all my brass so I can make sure one day when I do reload, I've got brass to work with.
Yeah.
Because
It's a
that's
fun.
definitely important.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So I guess let's talk a little. So we've hit on bipods. We've hit on, again,
Mhm.
this is my favorite stock. If you're looking for a lightweight, again, you've got the money for it. You guys make some amazing stocks that aren't
Mhm.
this price range either. This is kind of top of the line for a hunter. And I say hunter specific because it's very lightweight, which you're kind of looking for that in a hunting rifle. You're not putting hundreds of rounds in it in a
Yeah.
weekend. It's hopefully one round, guys. Should be one round. But if you need,
Right. Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
two or three, but hopefully just
Yeah.
one round.
Just one. Yeah.
And that's really it. So it doesn't matter if it's light and it's going to, either you're shooting a 300 PRC and it's going to kick your shoulder out, or you're shooting a 6.5 PRC that's negligible. That's a great one. But you guys make some really lightweight hunting stocks as well that aren't even over $500. So I definitely recommend, whatever your budget allows, definitely go and check out MDT, because you'll get a more vertical grip, which I definitely have noticed the difference between when I would shoot traditional hunting style rifle stocks, and then the ones that you guys make. And even some other, like, I guess like Bergara, for example, and some other rifle makers are starting to go towards that trend as well. Whether they're getting it from you guys and putting it on the rifle as a package, or their hunting stocks are starting to go more vertical grip. It definitely helps reduce that torque, and again, the variable in that downrange performance. So recommend that, guys. If you need bipods, definitely go check out MDT as well. But I guess I want to break down just real quick, if someone is looking at getting into some kind of match or training for something, there's NRL, which seems to have more of my attention because that's more of the hunting style scenarios, from what I
Yeah.
understand. And then
Yeah.
they've got
Yeah.
the PRS, which I'm just going to say it here just because, you kind of shocked me that you shoot PRS. But I feel like a lot of PRS is like the 50-pound rifles and the 350 plus pound men that aren't really athletic. And I don't
Right.
like, nothing against that. If that's your sport,
Yeah.
that's cool. But to me, I view that as almost like golf, because you don't really have to, that's just my, I just gonna throw it out there, guys. But
Right.
but it's cool that you're into it. Obviously, there's some athleticism in different classes in PRS as well. So what's the main difference between PRS and NRL?
For sure. Yeah. So NRL Hunter, the big thing is the big difference between PRS and NRL. You're not given where the targets are. So you have to range. So you have to find the targets on the clock. You have to
On
range
NRL
them.
or PRS?
NRL. So NRL, you have
I
to
like that.
find them on the clock. So you get 4 minutes in NRL. Generally, 4 minutes is what the stage is, and then 2 minutes kind of PRS is kind of generally what this thing is. But on PRS, you get you get the course of fire already. You get where the targets are. You get to find them before you go on the clock. You get all the distances, so you can put all your dope in beforehand. NRL, you have to mostly in a team too. So you have two of you. You'll have to find the targets, range them, then quickly write down your dope, and then hit them. So it's kind of like more a hunting scenario where you don't know what's going to come across your path. So you got to make sure you have all those skills. So it actually kind of helps translate over more to hunting, because when you're hunting, you don't know when that animal's going to come out of the bush or the forest, and you got to make sure you have your stuff dialed in. So you got to range them. You got to get your dope, make sure you're all dialed correctly, and then take the shot, right? So that's where the NRL Hunter came in. So it's more of that. That's why it's more of like a hunting style. PRS is definitely more of, I would say, like the showboat kind of like, everybody's got their super fancy rifles. They're really heavy, because in NRL, you have to pack all your stuff in too. So and they also have a light class and a heavy class. So light class is super light rifles. I believe it's under 12 pounds for everything. Okay. So that's including your
so like
your
what
magazine,
I'm shooting,
your bipod,
for
all that stuff. So once again, a hunting scenario, because you're going to have all your stuff with you when you're going hunting. PRS, a big thing right now, guys are trying to get like 25 plus pound rifles, because that mitigates the recoil, because we're going to be shooting on one stage. You could be shooting up to 12 rounds. So that's where you want to make sure your rifle is super heavy. So when you do your follow-up shot, you're not losing your target and wasting time because you have less time on the clock.
So when are you guys making a tungsten stock?
Right. Which is funny. The HNT is also used in NRL Hunter in the light class, and also our carbon stock, which we came out with, which is kind of like more of a traditional style feel of a stock that you would have. So that's another one that's getting popular because people aren't weighing it down with lots of weights and stuff like that. And then PRS, it's an interesting one for me too, because I struggle a little bit with it because I can't have a super heavy rifle. My rifle's already heavy as it is, and you have to move quite a bit. So you're moving through cattle gates, barricades, from rock to rock to another whatever prop they have set up. And you're usually moving up to 3 to 4 positions and trying to hit all the targets. So it has its own challenges too. So it kind of comes down to like, what is your jam? Like, what's your favorite thing to do? Like, I'm actually probably going to get started in NRL Hunter next year too, because I just want to try it out. I like to try all these out because they can kind of cross over too, because I can use our Gen 2 Premier, which is becoming very popular in it. It's actually Mountain Forge has come out with a whole rifle build with our Gen 2 Premier on it. So, and I know they're very big into the NRL Hunter world. So it definitely, for me, it's a little bit more stressful because I've never done it, and not knowing where the targets are and having to range them and then engage them from there. It's a little intimidating for me from going from where I've been kind of pampered a little bit, where I know my course of fire, I can have my whole plan set up, but still, even with having all that pre-knowledge, like I said before, it's a huge mental game to keep your mind focused when that timer goes off, because once that timer goes off, everything goes out the window. You think you have a plan, and then all of a sudden you're like, nope, plan's gone. So it is, they both have their strengths and challenges, and they're both a great thing to get into. And I know a lot of it can transfer over. Like if you're wanting to just do one rifle, you can do that too, because the Gen 2 Premier is a great rifle. I used that last year in the World Championships, and you can kind of, just take the weights off and then go to NRL Hunter. Like, so that's a kind of a cool crossover. If you're like, I can't decide what I want to do, I would go that route first, and then because you're able to cross over both matches with that. If that,
sweet.
Hopefully that was a little bit of an easy. I tried to keep it as simple as I could.
So sub 12-pound rifle would probably be like the rifle I'm using right now. That's 6.5 PRC, 126. Then there's is there a suppressed class for the NRL?
PRS I know for sure has suppressed class. I don't know if NRL might. I haven't competed in it yet, but they might have. I know they have a heavy class, light class, and a couple other classes too. So like, because there's obviously juniors, and PRS has ladies too, because it is a disadvantage for us not being as physically, strong to heft these rifles down. So it's nice to have our own division to compete against ourselves too. We still compete in the open division, so there is a chance for us still to get top spot. We just have
Paige, did you just say that there's a difference between men and women? Okay. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Never mind.
Like, whoa. In this day and age, oh my
oh no.
I'm like, guess what, people? It's true. Yeah. Like, there's 250-pound guys lifting a 25-pound rifle is definitely going to be different than me, 130-pound female lifting a 25-pound rifle.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference. Sorry, guys.
there's a difference. But no, that definitely makes sense. And I like that idea of being able to, so you can change out the weights on the Gen 2 or the Genesis.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The Premier Gen 2.
The Premier Gen 2. That's what it is.
So it's very similar to our Elite chassis, except the forend is 3 inches shorter. So if you are wanting to run rimfire, if you want the same kind of similar setup as the Elite, but you want to run shorter barrels like you find in rimfire barrels, that's another option. It still has the integrated Arca rail. It still has the options to add the interior forend weights that you could add on the Elite. And it also has the exterior weights you can add on, plus a tip weight that we put on the front. So if you want to totally load that up with weights and then just take them all off when you're shooting, NRL and 6.5 Creedmoor you can compete with in both sides. That is an acceptable cartridge, and then I find that's a great cartridge to start off with because you're not going too light. Because if you go too light, that's when bad habits start to happen, like slapping the trigger and all the rest of that stuff too, right?
And the
You learn how
wind
to
can
deal with
mess
your
with it too,
flinch.
you know.
Yeah, and 6.5 Creed, like that 140 grain hitting that target is, it's a lot better in the wind than my, my little 6BR, like 108 grain, you're like, did that hit that target out there?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it,
Or
I
25
find it's the
Creedmoor
best
seems
one.
to be a popular one
Yeah.
lately. 25
Yeah.
Creed. And then
And
6.5
25
PRC. Do you
GT and
see?
a bunch of these ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
It's
my
all
gosh.
these weird little
I
cartridges.
had a buddy that he was like, yeah, I got the what do you say? I did the 6. Let me say this. Oh, he said I did the 6 Gay Tiger. And I'm like, did you mean
Yeah.
6 Creedmoor? Because I know like people say you shoot
Oh, yeah,
Creedmoor,
the
you're
man
gay.
bun cartridge and
But no,
stuff
he
like
was like,
that.
yeah, it's GT. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah, it's coined the gay tiger. That's why
yeah,
you'll see guys that have 6 GT builds with like tiger stripes and stuff on there. Like, even like it's hilarious. Like,
that's awesome.
that's this sport. Like, I love it because there's just being able to laugh about things and make jokes and when I go to matches, I just literally go for the social time and shoot guns. Like, that is what I do, because being able to meet all my friends from around the US and be able to come and shoot these matches is the best part. It's the community that is involved in it. Of course, you're always going to have your bad apples. Everybody's going to be like, well, there's this guy and this guy. I'm like, any sport or any organization you get into, there's always going to be that one jerk or, that ruins it for everybody. But in my experience, a majority of the shooters are really awesome and down to earth, and they'll always be willing to help you too. So if it's your first match and you're never shot this before, we're actually allowed to help you on the clock. We'll say, hey, he's a first time shooter. Generally, you're not like, the rule is you can't help people like coach on the clock. But if you have a brand new shooter, never shot a match before, we'll be like, hey, we'll help you coach on the clock. If there's something that, we're noticing, like, hey, if you do this, you'll get a better shot. Like, people will help. Or if there's gear, like, hey, why don't you borrow my bag here? Why don't you here, come look at my binos? This is what you're supposed to be looking for. So I find that is a huge part of the community too, is encouraging new shooters to come, because if we don't do that, the sport's going to die. And I'll be the one that too will call out these guys that get huge like egos, and I'm like, are you like, grow up. Like, this is, nobody cares about your freaking trophy you win, because at the end of the day, it's a game, and it's not like you're being a pro athlete. We're getting like millions of dollars to pay for this. Like, we need to make sure that we're helping grow the sport, because it's the mid-pack to lower end shooters that are actually pushing the sport more and more and more, right? So that's where I'm like, hey, I get it. We want to win. We spend a lot of money on this, like a lot of money. But at the end of the day, you really have to make sure you keep your crap together, and that you are helping people out. You're not having a little freaking meltdown, and that you're actually encouraging people to come back, right? Like, we sometimes get in our heads, and I get it, because I spend a lot of money on this too. I totally understand it. But to be able to take that and be like, oh, well, show them that, hey, I had a super really bad stage. I zeroed a stage, like, not have like a little like wine fest. It's like, just to show them like, hey, you gather yourself up, you forget that stage, and you move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, for sure. I couldn't agree more. That's awesome that you guys encourage that way. And, for new people going in, or even experienced people, like it, just in general, in any sport, you notice that the people that, it's not necessarily you have to be a nice guy or a nice person in that way where you let people run you over, but wanting to further the future of the sport, and bring people in, encourage them, and help them, is definitely something that's important. I mean, I preach that all the time with hunting, with archery. You don't always necessarily have to give up your super awesome secrets and why you do everything you do.
Yeah, right.
But helping people out is
Yeah.
it's very valuable, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And we already come up like as we've seen here in Canada and, you know, some of your states down there too, we're already up against the wall, like with, you know, politicians. And the more people we can get out there and to see our side of it and see that it is a really valid sport. It is a really, it's a community growing sport. It really then starts to turn people's minds our way. Maybe when something does come up, maybe they won't shoot, but they're kind of more like, okay, these are my friends doing this and they're really cool and they're helping promote junior shooting and, you know, giving them skills and discipline and teaching them, you know, how to respect things, right? Like if they see that side, the more people that come to see that, the more we're going to have on our side when things do come down, or like when people are deciding to vote on something. Like it's so important to be able to have people there seeing what we do there and showing it well and not showing like, well, these guys are a bunch of jerks and all they do is just stick to themselves and they just have like a freaking meltdown when they have a bad stage. And it's like, why do I want to be here?
Yeah, exactly. No, I couldn't agree more. It's that's super important. So that's awesome. I mean, I feel like we've run through a lot already. You know, you guys, again, the extent of what you guys offer at MDT is phenomenal for anyone getting into it. If you're wanting a custom build, maybe you have an old rifle that you want to just upgrade the stock. That can change the feel completely of a rifle. You know, if you're wanting to keep the action, the barrel, everything the same, you can get into a much better stock for just a couple $100. Something that maybe is a little bit lighter weight, maybe has, again, that more vertical grip, cheek rest, which can help a ton. You know,
And
that's
it's
something that,
also super easy too. Like a lot of people say like, oh, I need a gunsmith. And I'm like, no, it's literally having 2 action screws.
mhm.
Most of the actions, obviously there's some actions that different, but 2 action screws, drop your barreled action in, tighten them up, and off to the range you go to sight it in. Like it's that simple and that easy and that accurate.
Look at that. 1,
2.
2,
Yeah.
right there. That's it.
Yep. It's
It's not
super,
bad.
and we have the same like V block that you see in there is the same throughout all of our systems. So even though you may see something that's a lower price, the quality and where your action is going into is the same. So you're going to get the same stability and rigidity that you would. It's just features and add-ons and what do you want, right? So is it more adjustable and has more accessory options? Course, you know, the price is going to go up because there's more options we add on to it. It doesn't mean that where it comes at the end of the day, where the most important part is, where the action goes into, has changed at all. It's the same throughout all of our inlets and all of our chassis systems.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
when you
Is there
torque, yeah. So
Go
when you
ahead.
torque that down, it sits into that V block, and then you make sure that recoil lug is nice, firmly seated at the back. And I've seen, and the free floating barrel too, a lot of people don't realize, in, you know, the hunting polymer stocks, when that polymer hits that barrel, it is going to cause issues. The free
So it's
floating
just
with
right here, yeah.
yeah, so free floating, not having anything interact with your barrel when you're taking that shot too, is going to give you that consistency and accuracy that you're looking for. And you're not, you know, if you have it against a tree or something, or you maybe you're like pushing too hard on the forend with your hand, you don't realize it. It's all those little things that would you don't realize until after it happens, and you're not thinking in your head like, oh, it could be this, right? Like, and you're like, why
Mhm.
is my shot going that way? So it's having that free floating barrel does, like, you're like, oh, it doesn't make a big difference, but it does actually make a huge difference.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I mean, there's a reason why people that are professional and much better shots than me run free
Oh, I don't know.
floating
After
barrels.
that antelope
Yeah.
shot, that was pretty good in that
Yeah.
wind. I mean,
Hey,
like,
you put fur in front of me, I'm fantastic. All right. As far, and
you're
then
like,
maybe
that
a
thing's
big
going
old,
down.
exactly. It's just so funny. My son just going, you know, and anyone that hasn't watched the video, you know, I'll put up a further video and more details on the hunt. But he's 10 and he watches a shot, and I told him to look for misses so he could tell me if I'm high or low.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you can hear him in the background. It thumps her, but he's like, "Oh, you missed." And I'm like, and then she piles up, and he's like, "Dad, Dad."
Yeah. It's like, never mind.
He's like wondering why I'm not taking another shot. I'm like, I can
Yeah.
see her. you know, and
Yeah.
unfortunately it went all the way through. I mean, with
Yeah.
most rifles, you want it to transfer all the energy, but you know,
Yeah. And
antelope,
mushroom.
I don't know, but I mean,
Just
it
went.
mushroomed great. I don't know
Yeah.
how it went all the way through. It just had enough energy to go all the way through, even at 400 yards. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I saw the blood dumping out the other side, and I was like, I don't need another shot. He was like, you missed, and he's like, oh, you didn't miss. I'm like, no, I'm
You're
good.
like, yeah. That reminds me of a story. Like at my last match, I was looking through the scope and I thought I kept on hitting off of right because the wind was going so fast that it was pushing the dust. So I kept on going more right and more right. And my brain wasn't my brain wasn't doing the calculations. I was just like, add more, and realizing I'm like, where was I hitting? They're like, you're hitting off the oh no, sorry, I was hitting off the left. Or sorry, no, I was hitting off the right. I kept on hitting off the right because I thought I was hitting off the left. And they're like, no, you kept on hitting off the right. Like you need to. I'm like, oh, my brain just had a meltdown. So like,
Yeah,
those like being able to learn to see where those shots go is so important too in learning. So looking through glass at matches too is so important to watch that, so you can watch shots to see how they are to remember when you're in the glass, like, hey, where's my shots hitting? Because don't do what I did.
yeah, yeah, and keep adding more. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, because it was so windy where I was, but down where I was shooting, it wasn't as much wind as I thought. So that's where a lot of weird things happen, like the wind where you're at and the wind where you're actually shooting can do different things. So learning to read the mirage at where the target is so important. But yeah, I still do it now too. So it's like being able to see what's happening. It's just time on glass and looking through there and seeing how shots land. But
for
yeah,
sure.
it was interesting.
That's awesome. Well, Paige, I really appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate everything you've done. You know, for me
Sure.
and for the builds that we've been putting together. We've got more coming as far as hunting goes and getting the kids on. We've got that 6 Creedmoor that we're going to get the kids behind to get them to start hunting with that
Nice.
6 Creedmoor. Super excited about getting all that together. So again, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time today. And guys out there listening, I 100% can't recommend enough MDT. Again, they have everything from I don't even want to say lower end, but more economical choices. If you're looking to get into it, you know, customization, but not break the bank. And then if you have some money to spend, I'm telling you guys, you can't go wrong with this stock right here. That 126 is just phenomenal. And then do you guys do custom Cerakoting as well?
Not at the moment, just the way that we're set up. We do have, like, on the HNT, we just have the black carbon fiber and the green color. On other chassis, we'll do sometimes like limited runs on like hydro dips or different colors. But right now, just no option. We're just not set up because we just do so much stuff.
Well, this
So,
green is gorgeous, and the black, we've got the black one on the 6 Creedmoor, and that is phenomenal as well. So,
yeah. And all of
again,
the carbon fiber, we actually set up our own shop and do it in-house. So for people who are always wondering, like, where does that come from? Where do you get that made? It's like, don't worry, we make sure we worked really hard to bring that in-house and make sure that it's done by us, especially our carbon fiber stocks, where a lot of it's laid by hand too, the way we do it. So there we make sure to put like every little attention to detail when we make stuff.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, guys, definitely go check it out. Highly recommend it. Again, Paige, thanks so much for your time. And
Thanks for having me on.
like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.